Okay, I'm going to ask the question, are there any pecuniary interests from any council member? Okay, so noted.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. That's great, that's it. Okay, we declare that closed, and we've got to go into closed session, so I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Armstrong, Councillor McHugh, all in favor? Thank you, and we'll be back here as soon as possible. Thank you. And Okay, we returned to open session, and thank you very much for being patient with us. I think we did well. 4:30, 20 seconds over, that's not bad. For politicians, that's really good. Yeah. I'm not saying we're strange, we're the different side of the good so thank you. All right, we'll please stand for the opening so Canada and Indigenous remarks and so on. So get to the right page, I'll be good. Yep. Okay.
We begin this meeting by acknowledging that Quinte West is on Indigenous land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. We thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been Indigenous peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte First Nation. This territory is covered by numerous treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contribution of the Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, and our province and country as a whole. This acknowledgement serves as recognition of the contributions and historical significance of Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island and demonstrates our collective commitment to meet the promises and address the challenges of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission within our community.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody's still praying for rain, I'd just ask you to change. Well, farmers are looking for dry land so they can get some crops in, and that's the hard part right now. It's supposed to rain, I guess. Yeah, right. Anyways, thank you very much. Any help is much appreciated. And just to mention, I think the Leafs may be on the golf course, is that right? Or
they're being raked up.
Well, there's other players or other teams that are going to join them too. So, but I also take time to thank the Huskies and the Hawks for a great season. I would say they might have been a goal short, but that happens. But I know they were great ambassadors for this city, and at Riverfest, there were some Huskies that attended and took the time to be there and talk to people. And I think it's great. Young people have a chance to get out and be a part of our community and make sure we treat them with respect and dignity. Okay, any announcements from council members? I'll take that right now. Anybody have one? Councilor Sharp, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to highlight two special weeks that one we're in and one's just passed. One was Human Resources Week, so I'd like to acknowledge Director Lori Coxwell Duncan and her team. work behind the scenes for all the human services that we deliver. So thanks to the team, and our interim CAO has brought to my attention that it's Public Works Week, and our department involves Public Works and Parks. And there's a big theme for this week, May 18th to May 24th. And this year's theme is People, Purpose, Presence. Highlights 3 cornerstone ideals that motivate public works professionals to serve in their communities every day. Meeting the needs of people is what gives public works its sense of purpose. And we have a great team of public works and park staff who are working every day. And I just want to acknowledge all of the team, and thank you to Director, Interim CEO for bringing that to our attention. Thank you very much.
Did you suggest to take the snowplows off?
Well, I'm not sure yet, Mr. Mayor. The weather's not great.
Thank you. Coming this way, Councillor Card, you good? Oh, sorry, Councillor Mike, I missed you, sorry. Coming this way?
I'm good.
Everybody's good. Councillor Stidle, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Just a few things. There's lots of activities going on. There has been the last couple of weeks, but there's more this Saturday. The annual open house for the Lawn Bowling Club is Saturday from 10 to 2 at the Seniors Club 105, and it's always a great event to come out and try lawn bowling. The annual hike for hospice is also on Saturday. It's at Centennial Park from 9:30 to 12. So there's lots of activities that are going on just with that walk. And there's another walk as well at the same place. The Alzheimer's Walk is also at Centennial Park at the same time from 9:30 to 12:30. So Saturday will be a busy time down around Centennial Park. And on Friday and Saturday is the Community Gardens is having their annual plant sale. So another big event for gardeners.
What kind of plants?
Everything you can imagine, vegetables, flowers, anything you want, they'll have it there.
Okay, thank you. Good. Good, yeah, that's what mine says too. You're right on. There's one other activity on this weekend, and that's Campbell's Monument are coming in to do some cleanup at, yes. So if you get a chance and you want to help them, come on out to, I know they'll be at St. Peter's and Mount Calvary, and I don't know about Evergreen, but if you want to know more, I'll try and find it out. But that's the extent of mine, so. And they got a cadet review as well this weekend. Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
And also Trenton Racket Club has their official opening of their 4 brand new pickleball courts on Saturday at 10 a.m.
Are you playing? Okay, that's fine. I know it's been a dangerous winter, so I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for reminding everybody. Councillor Armstrong.
The pop-ups are opening in 2 weeks. We won't be here before then, so I thought I'd mention that, along with an art.
Yep.
What's it called, Quinte art on the art or something?
Perhaps an art show.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Quinte.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I also want to say thanks to all our department heads and our team in regards to developing in the past number of years and more recently putting together information for the asset management plan that's going to be coming before council next month. I know everybody's going to be excited to see it, and I do mean excited. It's been a lot of work by our staff, taking down statistics, getting pricing, letting us know what the cost of different projects are going to be over the coming years and decades, and coming up with a way to depreciate assets as well and plan for the future, and not just on roads and buildings and stuff. It also has to do with water and services that everybody needs on a very regular basis. So I just wanted to reach out and say thanks to my fellow councillors that sat on the committee with me. I know that we don't agree, but hey, I don't know when to shut up, but I still.
Any time is fine.
I do want to say thanks to the team. That it's going to be a great discussion. Thanks.
Anyway, sorry, Councillor Reid or Councillor Reid?
Yes, thank you very much. I would just like to say a very huge thank you to Colleen Vickers for
very successful River Fest that was just held this past Victoria Day weekend. It was a bit chilly, but there were lots of smiles and laughter throughout the event with children's activities and games, music, food, and of course the wonderful fireworks display at the evening. So thank you, Colleen. I also want to mention that pickleball will be starting the week of June 2nd in Frankfurt and Trenton arenas from 9 until 12. Frankfurt, you have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday mornings from 9 until 12. And Trenton, you have Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. So hope to see lots of pickleball players out there. And the cost is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else? Any Councillor Freeman or Councillor Boyce?
Oh, thanks.
Members, we have a new detachment commander temporary. Mario, you have anything you'd like to say? I know you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just say that I've enjoyed my time here so far. It's coming to an end. Inspector Christy McNaughton will take over on June 2nd, so my last day is May 30th. But it's been great working with this community, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry about your location next to the chief, but that's no, I'm just kidding. He's a great guy too. So, anything else? Anything else? Okay. All right. Well, as I said, we don't need any more rain. We need some dry weather so we can get some crops in the ground. You know, corn in particular. Corn should be in. Yes, it should have been in, but it isn't in many cases. And you know what corn is used for besides cornstarch? It's used to make whiskey.
And ethanol for your car.
And ethanol for your car, so, yeah. But you still have to grow it, and it's used for feed for cattle, and it's used to help finish cattle so that when you get a steak, you've got some marbling in that meat. So there's a lot of uses for corn. I think they also use it to feed ostriches, so you get the big bird effect, right? Okay, thank you. I can ask again any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Councillor Stedall, you've already acknowledged, but thank you very much. I need approval of the agenda, please. Councillor McHugh moves, seconded by Councillor Freeman. Thank you very much. Any, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, minutes of the regular council meeting held on May the 2nd, and further that the minutes of the closed session council meeting held on May 7th be approved. Mover and seconder. Councillor McHugh moves, seconded by Councillor Allier. Comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, delegations, we're on. Doug, you're on. Doug Stevens, Executive Director, will talk about Quinte Regional Marketing and how he's enticing all the Maple Leafs to come to Quinte West.
They're going to come play golf. Thank you, Mayor Harrison, council and staff for having me here tonight. And Councillors Reid, Boyce, and Freeman, we got the presentation here on the screen, but I saw you earlier, so welcome as well. Of course, this is a regional partnership. I talk about this every time I make a presentation anywhere I go, because this organization doesn't exist without partners like the City of Quinte West. And so we're very thankful to have you sitting here as a partner, helping to fund what we do. And we get excited doing our job on your behalf too, and I'll take you through that as I always do. Of course, we're guided and governed by a board of directors. Your own Edgerton Boyce, when he's not playing pickleball, is governing the city, but also our great organization. We are a destination marketing and management organization. I bring this up too because sometimes folks lose sight of our mandate. Our mandate is bringing people here, and then we work with the BIA, the chamber, with local stakeholders and businesses so that they can keep them here or have them moving around this region. And to do that, we're working across about 40 different projects through the course of the year, and it's stuff you see, but it's stuff you'll never see as well. And it's a big portfolio. Here's the team right here, and you know, in just a couple of weeks, things can change. When I made this presentation, Jack McAvoy was a part of this team, and Unfortunately, he moved on. We're sad about that, but we got somebody new starting on Monday. Garrett Harvey, who's a very talented young guy, is going to be starting with us Monday morning, bright and early, and we're looking forward to that. But, you know, I get to come and make these presentations. I'm the lucky guy who gets to come to council. But I can't do my work if these folks aren't working really hard every day. And it's the same with your team. We can't do the work we do without Jacqueline Grimman, without Linda Lyle, without Jen Rushlow, without Rebecca Cotter, the communications team and the events team. You got a fantastic team here in Quinte West, and that really helps us be able to do our job, and there's not a week that goes by where we're not communicating with them to make things move forward. Let's talk about funding. So this past fiscal year, we don't have final numbers in yet on municipal accommodation tax, but you know the per capita, you know the municipal accommodation tax comes in. We're going to be estimated to be about $177,000 coming in from the city of Quinte West. That is awesome funding. We love that. That's helping us to grow our portfolio. So it's about 17% of our $1 million budget this past fiscal year. So what did we do with the money? Well, sorry for the formatting here. We took that money and put it towards, obviously, our marketing campaigns, our overnight golf campaigns, and generated an estimated $4.44 million just in the work we can do and we can measure. But also, we always try to invest part of the funds back into the community through the BIA, through the chamber, through the stakeholders, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on in the presentation. So about 13% of the budget invested right back into the city of Quinte West and its stakeholders. We're seeing some modest overnight growth, which is still good. I think we're going to see more this year for reasons we probably all know. Most recent CBRE accommodations data shows about 1% overnight occupancy. Might not sound like much, but that's worth more than $3 million for the local economy, people coming here and spending. And overnight tourism activity continues to be a top revenue driver in this region, over $300 million through the course of the year by people who are visiting here. We're also seeing some growth, stronger growth even in those short-term accommodations. And I know there's a lot of discussion about that with staff and with council. So 11% growth in short-term accommodation activity in the city of Quinte West over the past reporting period, about the past year. That's really good. Daily revenue up as well. 8%. So when you see revenue increasing to that capacity and you still see the growth in the occupancy, that means this is a popular spot. Average stay, 3.3 days. That is awesome. You know, when I started coming to this podium about a decade ago, that wasn't the case. It was more like 2 days. So we're inching that up. And I won't tell you that just a few weeks ago I was reporting to Brighton Council and they were only at 2.8 days. So it's great to see that the stays are up over 3 days. Let's talk about marketing campaigns. I talk about this every time I come here. One of our major marketing components is what we call omni-channel marketing. It's programmatic advertising, ads that follow you around. I've talked about how we geofence what we call conversion zones, hotels, downtowns, so we can see people who interact with our ads, and then they enter physically those areas. And we apply a spending formula to that, and we estimate almost $4 million generated just from our Bay of Quinte marketing campaigns. But we're also referring over 10,000 IP addresses to other websites like the City of Quinte West and your stakeholders. Take you to the bottom bullet in a brand new campaign we did this past winter specifically for day drive markets. Peterborough, Cobourg, Kingston, Prince Edward County, trying to bring them to our Bay of Quinte communities. We called it the Spending Spree campaign. It was driven by videos like this one. We did a video in each one of our communities, dropped a bunch of money on all of those day drive communities that I was just talking to you about. City of Quinte West video, over 30,000 views just on this one video alone. Over 2 days of watch time on this one video. And I'll talk more about the 50 videos that we produced through the course of the year. And for any stakeholders who are watching, videos just a primary driver of marketing now. Of course, we route everything through bayofquinte.ca. That's where we story tell. That's why we're trying to get everybody. Telling stories about this great city, what you can do when you're here, people you can meet, businesses you can go into, events that you can visit. And a new website this year was our Bay of Quinte immigration website. You might remember me reporting on this in years past. The province actually mandated the website exist. As an immigration marketing tool, specifically for this region, we revamped the website this year, working with the Quinte Local Immigration Partnership, updated all the content, updated the stories, worked with more individuals who moved here from other countries to make a home in the Bay of Quinte, telling stories again about people who have come here from other countries, whether it's been for decades or they're brand new, trying to attract new people to live in this great place. Another website, and I'm going to be doing a demo of this at your Economic Development and Tourism meeting next week, workinquinte.ca. So yourselves in the city of Belleville started this website a couple of years ago. You asked us to take it over. We just revamped this website. Actually, a couple of weeks ago was the launch. So a whole new website specifically for this region. We say it's like Indeed, but local. No spam. No sifting through jobs you don't know where they're from. There's an actual human being approving everything that happens on this website. Great job seeker tools, our job board. You can upload your resume, you get a back end, you can manage the jobs you've applied for, you can manage the resumes you've got on there. And equally importantly, brand new tools for employers. So all free of charge, Quinte region employers can use this. There's a full applicant tracking system built into the back end. You post your jobs, you track your applicants, you can bookmark them, make notes about them, correspond with them through the back end, and then ultimately see stats on how many people are clicking on your job. So this is a very robust website. We're really excited about it, and this is something we're getting out into the community big time this year. And we're driving it forward as well through creative, so getting out into the city, shooting employment photography to help drive the marketing. Of course, we're always on digital media. We're communicating with over 70,000 followers across our multiple avenues. It's the same thing. It's storytelling, telling people what to do, who to meet, where to go. Driving it through our newsletter as well. And again, video. And I can't emphasize this enough, for businesses who feel like they got to do something new. Video is the best thing you can be doing. There's just so much more engagement. We did almost a video a week the past year, 50 videos created. It's a lot of work. Over 54,000 minutes watched, almost 38 days, and then established a library of shared video to give to stakeholders like yourselves. So videos like this one, was great to be at the Homestead Marketplace, downtown, talking about the air show. And then we also pay other people to do our job. We're biased. People sometimes don't believe us. We pay other people to come talk about this great region, tell stories through their channels. They got followers we don't have. Hopefully they start tuning into Quinte West stories and content, following what we're doing. And ultimately generating more activity either through video or text. We also buy a lot of media through advertorial with popular publications throughout the region, but also beyond. Of course, our discovery guide, and hopefully everybody's been able to pick up a copy. Our brand new one just came out last week. Trevor Norris from our Bay of Quinte team has been all over this region, distributing them all over the place. But if you need one, just send me an email. We'll make sure you get one. And all of this is obviously driven visually. And one of the things that we work on through the year, I mentioned the video, but is also photography, asking your team here, what do you need? What can we pay for and put in our library that you can use? And so we've got a massive library now, not just of downtown stuff, not just of beautiful landscapes, but of all sorts of things that the city, the chamber, the BIA, and other businesses and stakeholders can use free of charge. I want to talk about golf just for a minute. We are now the best golf region in all of the province. And, we are just driving so much activity here now through golf and Bay of Quinte Golf and Country Club in the city of Quinte West as a part of our overnight package, which we book 2-to-1 to other destinations in this province. It's worth over $650,000 in economic activity. We just launched this multi-page spread in Score Golf Magazine's arguably the most popular golf magazine in the province and probably the country. Look at the headline, Discover Ontario's Best Golf Destination. So we're out there, we're being bold about it. We're telling people the truth, that this is the best place to come and play golf, and we're seeing a lot of activity out of it. We're also headed to trade shows multiple times per year. Trevor Norris actually just got back from a couple in Ottawa and Toronto, in between dropping off discovery guides to Montreal and Toronto to be dropped into the Globe and Mail. And he's been working hard with your team here, Jennifer Rushlow, to develop tourism experiences. So giving people more thoughtful things to be doing on the tourism front. And we've actually worked to develop 3 tourism experiences in the city of Quinte West, the most of any of our partner communities that have launched and are live. And you can actually, if you visit our bayofquinte.ca, get through and book those as they come on board. Also, just as I start to wrap things up, I want to mention a brand new initiative. You might remember me talking about this for the first time when I was here about this time last year. It's the Bay of Quinte Film Office. So that same partnership, together with Hastings County and Prince Edward County, who are funding into this, Loyalist College, we're now working to attract film and television. And you see the TVO Kids logo there, working with Research Castings and the Hastings and Prince Edward County District School Board. We just brought in a small TVO Kids production. And so these are the sorts of multi-day things we're trying to get in here and do more of. You'll hear more from me and others talking about this. And this is just an excellent way to get people here spending money. One of our first wins was in the city of Belleville. Crave had a small show. They were here filming an average of 4 days, over 30 crew, worth more than $30,000 for the local economy, and that's the type of thing we're going to continue to try to attract here. At the end of the day, it's all about driving this economic activity, taking your funding and turning it into more dollars and more return on investment. Of course, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.
Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Doug. I read that there's a dramatic drop in tourism to the States. Is it the same of the people from the States coming here, or are we still getting a lot of the tourists from the States here?
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor O'Neill. When we break down our data, typically our United States activity is somewhere between 3 and 5%. We haven't seen that really drop off or increase since I started. People are coming here definitely for the States, specifically for things like golf and fishing. But we are less a leisure travel destination for the United States. Now, on the flip side of that, I mentioned things like golf. Anecdotally, we've had an incredible number of people who have been contacting the organization who does our overnight golf bookings, saying they're getting calls and emails every day from people in Canada who booked North Carolina, New York State, whatever, golf, and they've canceled because they're upset with what's going on down there and they want to come here. So we're benefiting from that. But I don't see that there's been any negative activity with respect to U.S. travel on the Bay of Quinte region.
Anyway, Councillor Stidham, go ahead.
Thank you. When you say our stays are a little bit longer, like the 3.3 days, is that, like, what's the comparison? What's the baseline? Is that since COVID, or is that since?
Through the mayor to Councillor Stedel, there isn't necessarily a baseline other than when we look at the data. So that short-term accommodation data is from something called AirDNA. And so they scrape everything and then pump out a bunch of stats. And so that just shows us the average stay time. People who are coming here and staying in home rentals are staying. Baseline average, the most recent provincial data we get through what's called Regional Tourism Organization 9. So it's not only the Bay of Quinte region, it's Quinte West to Cornwall. But the most recent data, which was from 2022, the average overnight stay was 2.2 days. So to see 3.3, that's excellent. And, you know, there's been a lot of discussion, let's say, about short-term rentals, right? At the end of the day, they are an asset in the quiver for travel and tourism. And because they typically can accommodate larger groups and, for lack of a better term, making yourself at home, right? Because you got a kitchen, you got laundry typically, you got these sorts of things, people stay for longer. So from that point of view, they really are an asset.
Anyone else? Go, Councillor Cart, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Doug referenced my question a little bit during his presentation. Thank you for the presentation. Back when I was worrying about content creation for small business, of course, Instagram, like photos, that was very driving a lot of the content creation, communication, marketing. Can you speak a little bit about kind of this shift to short form video that I think is represented in your content? Also, I see it with the city's content as well, kind of the Instagram Reel, YouTube Short, TikTok effect, and how that's kind of changed the whole landscape in just a few years.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Card. I mean, it feels like marketing changes every week, right? And, you know, I was just doing a workshop for small businesses about marketing, justifying to them that they don't have to be on everything. You can just pick one thing. You're already busy. You're already working 7 days a week. But the fact of the matter is, if your mandate's marketing, you should probably be on as much as you can. And so you mentioned something like TikTok, which 2.5 years ago, we weren't even on. You know, now we've got thousands of followers on TikTok. And it's because that's where people are. And it's not just the younger demographic, you know, 20 and below or 20 to 30. You know, it's every demographic now is consuming video because the social media companies are setting it up that way. Years ago, when I was making presentations to this council, I talked about something called Facebook Live. And this was, you know, one of Facebook's first ever new things to bring on video. And they gave preferential treatment to the algorithm. So if you did a Facebook Live video, it was as if you spent money on everything you did. Facebook said, oh, they did a live video, we're going to make more people see their stuff. The same is true of video versus static now. But also, because of video having views, people wanting to comment, it also perpetuates more engagement. And more engagement creates an algorithm that has social media companies giving a more favorable result to those posts. So right now, if you don't have any money to spend on advertising, your posts aren't getting seen by many people. But there is this hack for free. You can do video and you can increase the amount of views you get and the engagement that you get. So I strongly recommend. And if anybody's looking to get started, reach out to us. We'll help you get started.
Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you. Another question. With the cuts at Loyalist College, for example, to the culinary program, have you seen a real shortage in staffing for restaurants because of this?
Yeah, through the mayor to Councilor O'Neill, I think the biggest shortage we are going to see is because of international students. So anywhere you go in this region right now, if you are entering a place that is in the service industry, you will see a large volume of international students who are at those front lines. As we all know, the federal government has really chopped off what a post-secondary institution can bring in internationally. So I'm on what's called a Program Advisory Committee for the business program with Loyalist. And up until about right now, we haven't seen so much of a drop-off, but beginning this fall semester, we're going to see it. Now, I know they've been working hard, specifically in their marketing and senior leadership departments, to drive domestic recruitment. But the fact of the matter is, it's not going to be enough in the short term to make up for what's happened with international students. So, yes, there are going to be effects from things like the culinary program happening. Certainly. I know so many restaurants in this city and around this region who have hired culinary students. But I think the bigger issue here is going to be what's happened with the international students. And so, again, you know, a small role we're here to play is worth something like workingquinte.ca. So if you're talking to any small businesses, they're having trouble finding staff, put them directly in touch with me. We'll help however we can.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to show you, this is a company that I visited this week. It's called FDF, and it's a race shop. And the gentleman who I think helped build it and turn it around is a graduate of Loyalist College.
There you go.
And he turned his passion into profits in the Bay of Quinte, and it's Josiah Falaise. And he's, I think, one of the key players at FDF. And a fantastic group of young men who are building race cars, and much of their orders, or many of their orders that I saw the day I was there, were from U.S.
Really?
So they're bringing U.S. money into their into the city of Quinte West, and you and I both know that's a profitable venture. But it's this gentleman here and other ones have put together machines and skills to turn out the parts that they need on these race cars. And I don't know. It's I'm not a race. I don't know that
You
much
race
about
tractors.
it, but it's Pardon?
You race tractors.
Yeah, I'm in
not
a
cars,
yeah, right. But it's just and again, Loyalist College, as has been noted, Loyalist was key for his success, and we're losing. Our young people are losing if Loyalist has to cut back like they're saying. It's a shame.
Yeah,
I
it's a
really,
big hit for this community.
yeah, it's a big hit. So, thank you very much, Doug. Councillor Armstrong.
You emphasize golf, and locally, the 9 golf course has been received a national award for junior players, the grassroots. Are you looking at some kind of strategy to encourage families to come here, to bring your children here to golf, maybe become a PGA professional down the road, but also tying in with the golf with the new, the fairway it's called, I guess, the digital golf?
Yeah.
So if it rains, you have that opportunity to do that, so.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Armstrong. In fact, we're talking a lot about how to create a family package. It hasn't been something we've really done before, but this year, because of how golf has exploded, and because, to your point, we've got not just 9, but a couple of different golf courses that are doing a lot in the junior golf space. Black Bear Ridge is another one with their short course. So that is on our radar and something we're working to develop. And then the other thing we talked about was, especially when the weather gets into fall 2025, creating a simulator package. And so all things, that we want to get into.
To go on, I'm going to ask Acting Director to tell us about his experience at the indoor golf in Quinte West.
Well, thank you, Worship, for putting me on the spot like that. But I did, with some of my friends, participated in some of that virtual golf a number of weeks ago during some inclement weather. I was really impressed with that venue, and I think it's something that is good for our community and good for our residents as well.
Yes, and I visited a property, a piece of business last night called Genesis Paving in Glen Miller. And he's done some renovations in his main building. Fantastic. And he's looking at the same kind of golf practice, I guess you'd call it. You can stand in front of a simulator and I can hit the ball. I know exactly where it landed. I don't have to look for it. So this is what's happening. So it's all good. Great opportunities for, and I'm not a golfer because as you said, I chase green tractors. So, but again, thank you very much for all.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, like I didn't know anything about this, and I maybe still don't, but I'll tell you what they're building there. Have you visited it?
No, I haven't. Sounds like I got to now.
Well, get there because you'll be very, very shocked and thankful when you see what somebody who graduated from Loyalist College, and when he puts his skills together, what he's able to do. It's
we got a lot of entrepreneurs here.
Yeah. It's I never graduated from Loyalist, but I did go, but I didn't graduate. The one thing I wanted to do was learn how to sharpen a drill. I got it pretty sharp, but not perfect. So the instructor said, "You just got it," and I never. But anyways, that's my fault. Thank you very much. I appreciate the good work. And
see you again soon.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're on public input. Anybody here for public input tonight, please?
Yeah, it's got a gentleman down there.
Come on up. Come on up. Thank you.
Good day, Mayor. My name's Brian McQueen. I'm here to speak about the Teal development that I guess you guys are voting on. Is that correct? Is this the time when we're supposed to speak on this? Or put up front?
Okay.
So, last meeting, as the council knows, there's quite a good show of people from Wooler who do not want this development to go forward, or at least a scale back on this development from 12 to maybe 8 or 9 houses. There's a lot of issues that I don't think that has fully been looked at. In the reports, for instance, you take a look at the traffic report that was put out. In this traffic report, it actually states that Jarvis Road is 40 kilometers. This traffic report was done up when it was 60 kilometers. It is now 50 kilometers. Thank you very much for lowering it. So it tells me right there that this traffic report, whoever wrote it, sitting behind a desk and doesn't even know the road they're talking about because they didn't even get the speed limit right. So I have no idea where these people are coming from who are writing your reports, other than I would expect from somewhere from the city of Toronto or whatever. And also in this traffic report, it states about 2 in the morning and 7 at this time and this and that. Well, in reality, when you look at this building project, there's 12 houses in there right now. Affordable houses in this area, in the country, with today's economy, with prices rising and stuff like that, it'll take a 2-income family to be able to afford these houses and to live up in that area. So therefore, with 12 houses, that's 24 vehicles going in the morning or out in the morning for work and back in the evening, not 2 and 7. So again, this traffic report, I don't know, these numbers, somebody sitting behind a desk typing away because they didn't even get the speed limit correct. The next thing is in regards to the environmental study. I've gone through it here and there trying to decipher it all. We have endangered species out by us. We have a total of 5 species, 1 which is endangered, 2 which is threatened, and 2 is considered a special concern in this area. We need to protect our wildlife. We need to protect our trees in our area. The development, for instance, all the paperwork that is written, that I've read, states 0 Teal Road as a 911 address. It has nothing in there about Jarvis Road. The wooded area that they want to remove and put a road in is off of Jarvis Road. It is taking down trees, area that has wildlife in it, be it small, this area, but also it has our Ontario flower, being our trillium. And it also has the painted trillium, which is our pink ones. They are endangered as well. And they're going to bulldoze all that down, all our trees down, and our trilliums. Ontario. Doug Ford last year tried to take away a bunch of green land for housing. The public spoke up. Doug Ford listened to us, and he rescinded that. We're asking you, Council, to rescind this development from 12 to maybe 8. We're also asking you to save our trees, being not having the road come off of Jarvis Road, and also the plot number that they has, number 14 or whatever, on their map, which they want to make into it's a pond. I'm trying to think of the actual, sorry, sir?
Stormwater pond.
Stormwater pond, that's right. I personally call it a swamp pond myself. Sorry for my humor, because as we all know, with 12 houses going in there, septic beds are only about 3 feet below water or land, and that's where all our groundwater comes from. All the water runs from County Road 40 down through that field area. So all that stuff will eventually end up in that pond through filtration of the earth and stuff as well. But what does a better filtration of water is Mother Nature itself. All those trees that they want to take down, all the grassland that's in there, that's in that block 14 that they want to put their pond in. I have driven sort of a rough outline of a map, which they used, showing a road coming off of taking out plot 2 and 13 and putting their storm pond up in there for them as well, which will give them a total of 9 houses. 9 houses in that area. I think a developer would be happy and still would be able to make their money on the plot of land. So I'm asking you, City Council, to put your arms up, to fight for us, because we voted you people in here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be coming to this later on, but if somebody else wants to speak, come on up.
Good evening.
Give us your,
I'd like to thank your worship and council for the opportunity to speak at tonight's meeting.
just give us your name and
Oh,
address.
it's Joe Baranski, 126 Jarvis Road.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm also speaking about the zoning bylaw amendment on Fertile and Jarvis, the new subdivision. So I have a couple questions and I have a concern to voice. I don't know the format.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So referring to the Quinte West official plan that I looked over, section 12.12.15, Hamlet Residential Subdivision Development, and I'll quote, "The city shall only approve Hamlet residential development that is appropriate with respect to the proposed scale and location and the financial implications on the city." So my first question is, how does the scale of this development align with the existing size, services, and character of the hamlet? That's my first question.
Okay. Staff will have to answer it, I can't answer it.
Okay.
But we will listen to you.
Okay.
And get back to you.
So my main concern is well water. So the main concern is that the possible ill effects that the proposed 12 or 13 new drilled wells will have on existing shallow dug wells in the immediate surrounding area of the new subdivision. So I was voicing these concerns at the Planning and Advisory Committee meeting on April 17th. I was directed to the hydrogeological and site servicing study dated July of 2022. I reviewed it, and in that review, there are some conclusions, and there's only one reference made to the surrounding dug wells out of many pages that deal mostly with they're saying that there's adequate water supply for the 13 drilled wells, but they don't mention anything in the conclusions about the dug wells. So the study doesn't conclusively demonstrate that there's no risk of the well interference over the long term, meaning that there's nothing in the study that says there's going to be no risk at all. So I brought these concerns up at the meeting, and I also asked, are there any assurances that our wells will be not affected? I was told by Councillor Don Quinte and the Director of Planning, Brian Jardine, that there are no guarantees whatsoever. So then I asked if there would be any recourse should our wells be interfered with, and I was I was told no, right? So we were formally told at this meeting by 2 members of the Planning Advisory Committee that there are no guarantees of ill effects to the surrounding dug wells. So no guarantees at all. And the report doesn't conclusively demonstrate doesn't demonstrate no risk of well interference over the long term. So even with no guarantees, the 2 members continue to support the development anyway. So in comparison, the City of Belleville does not even consider subdivisions on unserviced land. So that's, I'm not sure of other municipalities, but Belleville doesn't even consider a subdivision on unserviced land. So I'm asking how council, in good conscience, can move ahead with the rezoning of this property, approving a subdivision on unserviced land without conclusive demonstration of absolutely no risk of well interference over the long term to neighboring dug wells, even while the city's planning department indicates that there are no guarantees, and then not providing any recourse to existing property owners should ill effects happen in the future. So I can't, I'm asking that the proposed rezoning of this property not be approved at all. And that's what I was here to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I can't offer any guarantee either.
And that's my point. If there's no guarantees, I can't see how council can go ahead and approve that.
Well, we have to look at all the variables and all the information that is presented to us, and you've got to remember that developer can come back on us if we don't justify what we're doing. And so I know you don't like it, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that we can, as a council, turn it down. But we still have to look at the variables. There's no guarantee on water. Water's elusive, yes it is, and so often, a guy runs out of water over here, and he looks and he finds that he's got a better vein on another location. That does happen, yes. But not, I can only tell you that's been my experience, but that's not necessarily everybody's. So I will be coming to this later on tonight, so we'll take listen to what you have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public input? Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that table will go down.
Yeah, just so you know, you can lower it. Oh.
It's okay.
Are you okay?
I can do
Because the
this.
table, it will go down. There's a
I
button.
can do it in short bursts.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Nadine Walter of 203 Jarvis Road. And I'm also to speak on the development potential of Teal and Jarvis. Pardon my raspiness. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. We can understand. Just speak right into the mic and we're
yeah,
good.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'll project. I'm tired and due for a blood transfusion, but it got pushed back. As my neighbors have said, they spoke on a lot of pertinent points, but as a Native Indigenous woman, I'm here to speak more on the land itself, and more so the indigenous species that I've seen growing right beside my house. Now, as being the road or the house right beside where the road will be proposed, I am 203, and I've pulled up 2 maps of the indigenous species right there. 2 of which are the painted turtle and the Blandings turtle. Well, these guys didn't make it. These are 2 baby painted turtles that unfortunately were trying to make their way to the creek, which is their living space, but they nest in the sandy bed that is to be developed. Now, the Blandings turtle we managed to save and successfully rescue and get across the road. But the Blandings turtle, as you may have heard if you've taken a walk to Presqu'île or Sandbanks, which is 2 of Ontario's most renowned parks, Presqu'île itself spends upwards of $250,000 a year to save the Blandings turtle alone. Now, the painted turtle, these poor little babies right here, they get a little less, but they are a couple of Ontario's most endangered species. They didn't make the walk across my road, Jarvis Road, where this proposed build is to be. And right outside my sunroom is also our red trillium and all of these beautiful white trilliums. I have not once stepped foot on the proposed land. This is all from my side of the property. Oh, and that large bug that is almost the size of my palm is a giant water bug, but it's listed as sugar bush. It is not. I am a landscaper by trade. I have worked in the landscaping trade for 15 years. Once again, as an Indigenous woman, I have a connection to the earth, Tonche. And I have always revered my planet and my plants. And I know that it is mixed brush, hard oak, and a little bit of sugar maple. But directly behind me is, yes, a hard water table with a big abundance of newts, snails, and a huge amount of songbirds and turtles that, if are developed, ripped apart, it's going to have a severe impact. So if it wants to be shrunk to 8 developments, sure. Maybe put a walking path in at the very least. I'll do walks. I'll educate the new neighbors, sure. Save the land, that's all I ask. Find it within you, but please, take a walk in that area, at least. We don't need more golf. We don't need more death or development. And I know you guys know in your heart, it's not going to be affordable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your information and your effort to get here. Thank you. Anyone else for public input? Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca McKay. I reside at 196 Jarvis Road. I'm here to speak about the Jarvis and Teal subdivision that the previous three speakers have spoken about. Mostly to do with the traffic study. As we mentioned before, looking at the size of the houses, they're looking to be 3 to 4 bedroom homes, which in this area for the lottage size is going to be around $800,000, which means even with the new proposed 30-year mortgages, there would have to be a 2-parent household working at around $120,000 to $150,000 a year each income, which means if they have children, one parent is leaving in the morning, one parent's putting the kids on the bus. Our road is not wide enough to support this. I've taken several photos of different types of vehicles from between the garbage trucks, the street sweepers, and even just the cars that live in the area already. And even at the best of times, someone is always pushing the shoulder. Nope, they cannot pass at 50, they're maybe passing at 30. There are several children in our area already that throughout the year have had to run to the side of the road, jump in snowbanks at times because people are speeding on that road, or even just trying to just get past another vehicle that's stopped on the side of the road. I'm very concerned for the children that already live there and the ones that may be living in the subdivision because it simply isn't big enough if they want to have it onto our road, John Jarvis. We have many seniors that walk on the road during the day, all times of the day. If it's light out, you see at least 2 or 3 people walking, waving, talking. It's the way of our life out there. It's a little bit slower pace than it is here in town. So we really want you to take into consideration that we can't, if we don't want it to be a 12. 12 is too much to be coming in and out of that little area. It's right next to a big hydro station. What happens if someone loses control of their vehicle and runs in there, and then everyone in the neighborhood's out of power for who knows how long? The ice took us out for 4.5 days earlier in this spring, and that's just ice. That's not a human being making an accident. And on to the ecology of the area. As Nadine has mentioned, there are many species that were not mentioned in the species study. They said that the turtles were not present when they were looking in the fall. I live catty-cornered across from Nadine, and I can attest to the fact that I've had to pick up several turtles from my side of the road and put them to the side of the road they're heading towards because they're going to get run over. We found them in my backyard just 3 days ago. We almost hit him with a mower. So he's migrating back and forth, he or she. And to say they're not present is ignorant on someone's behalf. I'm not sure whose. As to the water table, if we do have 13 new houses in there, we're looking at about 4 Olympic swimming pools worth of water extra being pulled out of the ground per year, which in no way, I'm not a geologist by any means, but that's a lot of water. What does water do? Water migrates downwards. So it's going to be great for the people on the drill wells, but what happens to us that are on the dug wells? We have no recourse of action against the developer if in 5 years all of our wells dry up. And yes, correlation is not causation, but it begs to differ when there's a whole bunch more people drawing on a water source that it's going to make an effect on someone. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else for public input? Anyone else? Anyone? No? Okay, thank you very much. We'll keep going then. First, I need a mover and a seconder for the resolution that staff report Quinte West 2025-00076, Sarah Pond, Legislative Services Coordinator regarding Audit and Risk Advisory Committee matters for council consideration and approval be received. Councilor McHugh moves, seconded by Councilor Card. Comments or questions? Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at the financial statements provided, I believe there should have been 2 more provided. One was the library board and the other was a DBIA. Although they're separate boards, the city provides and collects the majority of funds for these organizations, and they're part of the city's consolidated financial statements. And in future, I'd like to see both those provided with these statements too.
We approve their budget, so they don't come back and get more funds. Councilor, Mr. Denowden, anything further at this time? Or?
Yes, Your Worship, we can absolutely provide those. They are to be received as information. They are to go to their respective boards first for approval, so they are at that stage right now. Yeah, we could have included them here to be received, but we'll put them on the subsequent agenda once they're approved by the boards, so council can also receive them as information.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Sharp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and not sure if I'm quite on the right report, but it does relate to the financial statements. If I could, to Director Denowden, it always looks like we have a major surplus ending in 2024, but it's not a cash surplus. That's just related to our inventory and asset management and so forth. But what is our cash surplus ending in 2024? Please, thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, yes, there's quite the difference in surplus when we look at our financial statement surplus versus our budget, which is more based on the cash surplus. So yes, our financial statements do show a large surplus, but when we're comparing our budget, which is based on cash, we were at $100,000 surplus at the end of the year, so we're pretty much break even, and then that $100,000 then goes into reserve, so we break even and match budget.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment because we're often asked, oh, look at that big surplus. Well, no, it's within the $100,000. When you look at the budget and the year end, that is pretty close. Good budgeting and good efficiencies to come so close with a budget of our size. Very efficient. Thank you very much.
All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Thank you. And the next one is that council approved the 2024 City of Quinte West draft consolidated financial statement, and further the council approved the 2024 City of Quinte West draft trust fund financial statements, and further that council approve the 2024 Quinte West water and wastewater draft financial statement. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Elliott moves, seconded by Councillor Stedall. Any comments or questions? Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Thank you very much. Council received need a resolution, received the year-end debt balances as attached. Need to move in a second. Councilor McHugh moves, second Councilor Quinte seconds it. Any comments or questions? Oh, you're getting us lucky, Caleb, wow. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Council receives the 2024 year-end development charges. Treasurer's statement in the amount of $8,186,329. Move in a seconder for this one. Councillor Stedall moves, seconded by Councillor Boyce. Questions or comments? Comments or questions? Anyone? Caleb, do you want to make a comment? Where were we not too long ago with our, I guess you'd say our reserves and so on with the development charges? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, the DC reserve balance, we were at 10 million. We're at 8 million now. On the flip side, we do have $18 million in development charge debt that we've already taken on. So even though we do have a reserve balance, we have more than that in debt. And with the upcoming projects coming in the next year and a half, 2 years, we're projecting another $30 million in development charge debt coming. So yeah, even though we have reserves, it's not money we have to spend.
It's not
freely.
fun, is it? No, thank you. All right, next I need to move in a seconder that council receives the 2024 year-end consolidated reserve and reserve fund report in the amount of $82,675,339. Councillor Stedall, Councillor Quinte. Comments or questions? Anyone? Councillor Stedall, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just, so yes, the Director of Finance is getting off a little easy, but he didn't get off very easy when we had our audit meeting,
Right.
so thank you very much. So we did have lots of questions at that point, but I will make a note here on this one in particular is the $82 million in reserve and reserve funds is money that is allocated towards specific projects. It's not, this is one issue that always comes up is why do we have so much money sitting in reserves? It's because we have those types of projects that are sitting on the docket that are going to be coming forward. We need that money. It's not that we're sitting on a glut of money. It's money that if we don't raise it now and have this money set aside, our tax rates are going to, our property tax rates are going to go up astronomically and be completely unaffordable. So just wanted to make that
Can you
comment.
think of one project that we've got to do that's going to eat up a lot of this money?
Lots of projects.
Director Angelo, I'm sorry, CAO Angelo, which one is going to eat up almost half of this amount?
Well, there's a good portion. There's, on Thursday, the tender for the trunk sanitary sewer line from Fraser Park all the way to the west end of Trenton, estimated at $30 million closes. So we'll have a better idea after that tender closes.
30 million plus, what else have you had to do and have money to do it?
Well, there's a number of projects over the next 5 to 10 years, wastewater treatment plant expansions, other growth projects that need to happen to accommodate growth in our municipality or for the long term. So that's a large number of projects and a large cost that we have to start investing in to accommodate growth within our municipality.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councillor O'Neill.
I believe almost 21 million is committed to next year, which is almost half our reserves.
Yes. Councillor Quinte.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, at the Audit and Finance meeting, Mr. Denowden was questioned, but he handled himself well, and same with his team. And as earlier mentioned about the asset management and the planning going forward as acting CAO, Chris Angelo has mentioned, we have some interesting challenges in front of us. And with all this money floating around, it is going to be an exciting next 6 or 8 months. And that's why when, at the last meeting, when we talked about the strong mayor powers and the way that the strong mayor powers legislation is worded, and I know, Mr. Mayor, you already said that we were going to be doing our budget in the same process before, but it will be presented as your budget, the way I read it, and I'm sure staff is doing some research to make sure, and I trust that you will, once December gets here and we sit down and have our meetings, that you will guide us in the best way possible. Thanks.
I already have my letter written to Santa Claus. And I would love to have the Premier intervene and say, we're going to send you $50 million like we need.
Yeah, it sure is interesting how the strong mayor powers comes out a couple of years ago for other communities, and they get a carrot dangled in front of them. But when it comes to the other 179 communities, I believe the number is, and including Quinte West, there wasn't any carrot, unless it's coming somewhere else down the road. Anyways, just an observation.
I haven't seen anything, so.
I know.
And Director Nowden, I ask him the same question all the time. Can I have some money? And the answer is always the same. Thank you. I appreciate that because, yeah, we're here to be honest and accountable. And I torment you, I know I do, but I appreciate the same answer. I really do. So, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Am I on the one there, the investment results? Yep. Council received staff report 25007 FIN regarding 2024 investment results. Moved by Councilor McHugh, seconded by
Councilor Freeman.
Councilor Freeman. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next one is staff report from Melanie Macer, Manager of Purchasing and Risk Management, regarding 2025 first quarter purchasing status and non-standard purchasing updates as received. And, okay. Staff report by Matt Hodge. Yeah. So,
Councilor Reed hit her hand.
Councilor Reed, have your hand up. Go ahead. No?
Just moving it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. And Councilor McHugh seconds. All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the next one is a staff report by Matt, Manager of Finance, Treasurer, regarding 25 first quarter capital project update be received. First one. Councilor Kotsovas and Councilor Elliott. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Next one, that staff report by Matt Hodge, Manager of Finance, Deputy Treasurer, regarding 2025 first quarter city operating update be received. First, Councilor McHugh moves. Councilor Freeman, your hand is up. Oh, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Okay. And the next one is that staff report by Matt Hodge, Manager of Finance, Deputy Treasurer, regarding first quarter water and wastewater operating update be received. Need to move in a seconder for that one. Councilor Sharp moved, seconded by, need a seconder?
Councilor Reed.
Councilor Reed, thank you very much. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, the next one is that Planning and Development Services. This is the one where we're coming to the minutes of the Teal Road and so on. So minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on April 17th. Councilor Elliott moves it.
Yes, I would like to also speak to it, Your Worship.
Yes,
and,
I will. Just let me get a seconder and I will let you. Councilor Armstrong Second. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to, I know we dealt with this at Planning Advisory, and there was many concerns there. There was actually, I think, a few more people than there are tonight even, but anyway, we recognize you and thank you for coming out tonight. I will say after the planning meeting, I did have some calls afterwards. I just wanted to make the rest of council, my committee members that sat here on it. And one of the biggest concerns has been the water table, and the concern, one of the concerns was that it was done more at a drier time, that it should have been done at a couple different times over the year when there was drier periods, and not just when there was a wetter period, that the water table would be, I guess, or the aquifer would be at a higher level. And I also had a couple concerns about some of the other studies, which has been voiced tonight. And my other question is going to be to Director Jardine, and his regard and report that I read, and I went over it again the other day again after I seen that we were going to be dealing with this tonight, and also the report of some of the concerns that people had phoned to me in regards to some of the studies, and also maybe to answer why this hamlet doesn't have to be serviced, which we do have a subdivision. All subdivisions have to be serviced, but the hamlet designation does have a different designation that qualifies for this type of housing. So I would like him to explain that, and also maybe before we vote on this, also to maybe explain some of the studies, or if we feel, if we were to go ahead with this, that maybe a more thorough in, I would say, either traffic study and water hydro-G study maybe be looked at as part of the conditions if this carries forward, and maybe give us a timeline on how this will, if this goes ahead, where this will go after tonight, because there is a subsequent, I guess, timeline and an agenda that follows. It just doesn't all of a sudden, it's approved. And we are going to be under the next motion under bylaws, which is 25-056, is the zoning bylaw, which will be dealt with in another part of this meeting. So if Director Jardine, maybe you could address some of those concerns and what your thoughts as far as the city is on those. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, sorry, to Councillor Ali, rest of council. So pick up on a couple of things. And we spoke about this at the planning committee meeting. So first thing to mention is that the property is located within a hamlet designation. Now, the hamlet designation is different from the rest of the rural area. Correct, it's not connected to the primary water and sewer services that are available within Frankfurt and Trenton. However, hamlet designations are recognised as essentially villages or potential village centres, and both at the provincial level and at local level through the official plan, they are recognised as areas for potential multi-lot development, be it through a subdivision, condominium, that type of thing. So the comment the gentleman made about other municipalities not permitting unserviced developments, while we do permit developments that are not serviced by municipal water and sewer, that is only in the case of a hamlet. So outside of the hamlet designated boundaries, no, we would not support a subdivision of this nature, but that's more to do with the impact on agricultural uses than it is about the technicalities. So this is the hamlet designation. It's been a hamlet designation certainly since amalgamation, and zoned for residential. So the premise for development is there. Just to maybe kind of segue onto another comment that the gentleman made was around appropriate development. So, and again, there's definitely a difference of opinion here. If the residents would certainly not agree with what I'm about to say. However, within a hamlet situation, serviced by individual well and septic, the standard is 1 acre. 1 acre for a lot, that would be deemed to be an appropriate scale. The lots on this plan of subdivision all exceed that standard. And part of that comes from the requirements for separation distances between wells and septics and neighbouring properties. So that would be an appropriate form of development. Of course, there are going to be existing properties around that area that that may be larger, maybe smaller, some of them, but that is considered to be an appropriate form of development within a hamlet designation. As far as process goes, the stage that this is currently at is recommendation for approval of a draft plan of subdivision plus the zoning piece. The draft plan of subdivision is what it says, it's a draft, and it contains a whole list of conditions that have to be met, most of which relate to the final engineering of the site. So all of the technical engineering work, all of the civil engineering work, the road design, grading, drainage, all of that stuff has to be finally designed and approved by the city before the subdivision will get approval, and we will enter into an agreement. Now, as for a timeline on that, it's always very hard to say, because as soon as an application like this gets draft approval, it goes into the hands, or back to the hands of the applicant to undertake all of that work. Most draft plans have, between 30, 40 different technical submission pieces that have to be submitted back to the city. Sometimes the developer is already ahead of that and has already got some of the work done. That can probably happen within 6 months. Sometimes it takes much longer. There is also, within our draft plans, there is an expiry. So if the applicant hasn't met the conditions, the technical conditions, within 3 years, then the draft plan expires essentially, and they would have to reapply back to the city. So there are some guardrails in there in terms of the timeline, but definitely from this point to get to the point of potential construction is still a significant process to go. From that perspective. The other thing I would say as well, there is a zoning amendment here on the agenda as part of this. However, I would stress that the property is already zoned for rural residential development, which this is. The details of the zoning are to realign the wetland feature. There's been a lot of comments this evening, and rightly so, about some of the features, environmental features, particularly wetland and stuff on the property. Now, as with any development like this, one of the exercises they have to do is do an environmental review. That determined that, working with the Conservation Authority, that determined that the delineation of the wetland area, the buffer areas, plus a small creek were redefined, and that basically forms the boundaries of the new revised environmental protection zone. So yes, this development does entail 13 new lots, 2 of which exit out onto Teal Road and 11 off of Jarvis. But there is a portion of the western side of the property that will be protected under an environmental protection zone. So I think that covers some of those comments. I will say that I believe I know the applicant plus their environmental consultant is in the audience, and I think they'd be willing to speak to some of the questions particularly around groundwater and impacts on wells, because the consultant has obviously done that work and also did a separate piece following planning committee, which was circulated to the residents, so they could maybe speak to that through the mayor.
Good evening. My name is Nantha Ruben Rayudurai, the applicant and authorized agent for this project. And he's our environmental scientist, Rob West, and he will be answering all the questions. Thank you.
Mayor, Council. My name is Rob West. I'm an ecological consultant for Oak Ridge Environmental Limited. I've been doing this for about 25 years. I'm not the hydrogeological expert, but I have a pretty good background based on and Brian King is our hydrogeologist. He couldn't make it here tonight, and Dan, who sometimes discusses the hydrogeological content, and they both wrote the report. Dan's away on holidays and just couldn't make it, but they asked me if I could come and try and answer some of the questions. I know.
I'd say the first question to start with would be impact on the present wells. I mean, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. So procedure, MOE procedure D55 is, looks at the wells, and it's a certain procedure for subdivisions that says you have to drill so many test wells on a property, depending on the size of the property. You know, could be 3, could be 8, could be 10, depending on how many lots you have and the size of the property. It keeps going up. So on this property, the minimum required was 3 wells. So we in combination with the well driller, we drilled 3 wells. And the intent was, because we knew everybody was on, a lot of the people were on dug wells in the shallow aquifer. It's an unconfined aquifer, so it's essentially sand right at the surface going down, and then it changes into like a hard clay, hard pan of clay. Till material in between, and then below that is another, you know, sand, silt, sand gravel type of material. Below that, limiting layer is what we refer to, or an aquitard. So you have a shallow aquifer that's perched up on top in the sand, and then that limiting layer in between, it's like a sandwich, and then, you know, below that, you're into another aquifer. So when we drilled the 3 test wells, the intent was to try and not tap the upper aquifer, because for one thing, it would be difficult to drill new wells at that depth because it may not meet the criteria. There's a certain criteria for depth for drilling wells. So the idea was to go see if there was an aquifer past that limiting layer, so that clay layer. And that's where we ended up with all 3 test wells, was past that clay layer. So we drilled through the aquifer, the unconfined aquifer up top, that's the sand layer that the majority of people are in Teal and Jarvis. And then we went through that limiting layer as almost like a protection zone and drilled through that, making sure that we were sealed through that clay material, that dense clay material. So the idea is we would be in a different aquifer than everybody else on those roadways, because we knew it would probably be an issue putting another 10 or 12 wells, depending on what it worked out to be, based on the pumping tests, et cetera, and the nitrate dilution. That's another part of that procedure. So what we ended up doing was drilling through, and we tested those 3 wells, and they had to undergo a 6-hour pumping test. So a very long pumping test I think each one was in about 4.7 or 5 gallons per minute, imperial gallons per minute, which maintains supposedly based on it maintains the peak in the morning and peak at night when people, you know, they're available in the morning, shower, et cetera, and use a lot of water in the morning, and then come home, and then they might use more water, putting wash on and everything like that when they arrive home, and dishes, et cetera. So it's meant to obtain enough water to fulfill those peak periods, and it has to recover within the time period, within that period of that daily period, that you can meet those peak periods based on the amount of water that you're pumping, or the volume of water. So the idea was we pumped that each one at 6 hours, and we put in transducer loggers in some of the wells, the bored wells or dug wells next door, and watched as we pumped down the water level in the test wells, the 3 test wells, to see if there was any interference on the dug wells. And we did not have any interference based on that. There was fluctuations, there's tiny fluctations that the transducer picked up that weren't related at all to the pumping of the test wells.
I just translating what you said here, the people behind listening. So you're saying the drilled wells will draw from a source of water totally different than what the dug wells are getting their supply from right now, and one technically should not interfere with the other. And I understand the technology somewhat, because where I am, I've had some wells drilled, and I'm on solid rock, but I'm into streams underneath, and I live next to a bay, and my well is not affected by the bay at all. It's isolated. So I guess what I'm asking is for some type of assurance that you're drawing water from a different source completely that does not interact at all with the source that the wells are getting their water from, the dug wells.
That is what the data says. And the pump test curves, our hydrographs suggest that and the actual water levels in those wells are different than the water levels in the dug wells. So if they were close or they had some type of hydraulic connection, you would see in the drilled wells, the water level, the static water level, when the well's not being pumped, it's just on its own. In those wells, all three wells were very similar, but they were lower than the water levels, the static water levels in the dug wells. So that typically means they would have to be very similar if they were actually connected. So you'd almost have your dug well, your drilled well deep, dug well short, and they would almost be a straight line across, where in this case they aren't. There's the dug wells static levels are shallower, and the deeper wells get that because they're taking it from a different aquifer with different pressure is not as high.
Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, do you have a response to the residents' concerns that if you did the test at a different time of year, the test results might be different?
So the MOE procedure, D55, makes it so that you have to pump test the well for a very long duration. So it kind of takes that into account, in a sense. And that's what it says. You could essentially apply that 6-hour pumping test and see, practically no difference. The water levels might be lower at certain times of the year. There wouldn't be as much fluctuation in the drilled wells as there would be the dug wells. Dug wells have some fluctuation, more fluctuation than drilled wells do. Because you got to think of it as, a shallow lake, essentially on the surface, compared to a deep lake that has a lot of water, coming into it. Shallower wells, dug wells, typically they're more localized as to how much water they take from, or area that they take that water from. Whereas the deeper drilled wells take up, it's typically a very long aquifer.
Councillor Boyce.
I'm sorry?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of questions. Okay, so you mentioned that your transducer showed a slight effect based on your 3 wells that you dug. First of all, how far were your 3 test wells dug? Were they in close proximity, or were the 3 put across the total property?
Are we able to share the hydrogeological, the figure 13, I think it is? And you'll be able to see where the wells are in relation to. Can I come grab the pointer then? It's on the. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
Right there.
Okay, so 2 were the 1 and 2 were abutting properties, and then the third one looks like it was off a separate spot.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, those are the test wells.
Okay,
These 2
is
were
it-
done to try and get as much information or try to determine whether there's a connection amongst these wells and/or, these wells along this area. This one was our typical kind of outlier. We have to have some data in reference to this other portion of the development.
Anything else, Councillor Boyce?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. My next question was then, how long were these wells tested for? What's the standard rate, and how long did you test the 3 wells for?
They were 3, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
They were all completed for the standard is 6 hours of straight pumping. So no cessations in between, 6 hours straight. They may be step tests, so they may start at a low rate and then work their way up to the rate that the well can essentially handle.
I understand that, but I'm talking about, was it done over a week? Was it done over 3 days? Was it done over a day? How long was the testing done over?
So each well was tested for 6 hours in 1 day and spread out to allow for the recoveries for the wells to fully recover. So they weren't done one right after another. They were done, a day and then allowed to recover completely and then come back and do, in another day or 2 or a few days once everything's more or less back to normal, if you will.
Okay.
And then pump test do the next well. And what we monitor is interference between the test wells themselves, which we did see
Yep.
some interference because it is in the same aquifer, but we didn't see interference in wells, in the dug wells on the surface, because we believe that they are in separate aquifers.
Okay, and that's where my final question is. Okay, and so you believe that they're in separate aquifers, so you didn't see that there was a difference. And is it possible that one aquifer, when that it can take water from another aquifer, or are they self-contained completely, and there isn't the possibility of water running out of one into another?
So you're referring to like leaky aquifers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this case, were you able to determine that these aren't leaky aquifers, or are they solid, or?
Correct. Yeah, the difference between the first thing was, again, I said about the different static levels between the drilled wells, the test wells, and the dug wells. If it was leaky, if there was a leaky situation where the upper was leaking into the lower aquifer, we would see a difference or similarity in those water levels. There would be similar pressures, and the water levels would be very close between the different types of wells.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the other question that's been asked is, let's say everything you've done is perfect, no problems, other wells aren't affected. But let's say that the opposite happens, that there are several wells impacted because of the development. What are you prepared to do?
Okay, and that's why in our recommendations, we have a recommendation in there that says that we're going to do a well testing program on each well. So each well, new well that's, it's like an accreditation. Each well that goes in, any new well that goes in will be tested in, and if there are people that, neighbors and stuff like that want their wells monitored, I don't think we'd have any problem putting another transducer in to test against those wells, because, say if this well is going in and you have, one of these properties or something like that nearby, and it's closer, obviously they want to know whether or not there's interference. And we would want to know too, so that if there ever was interference, what we do is, and what you can do is, the well driller can put a limiter on that. So the person can't pump above, 2 or 3 gallons a minute, and they might have a food grade tank that they have to get themselves through peak periods. But at least they wouldn't, if the well is only pumping at 2 or 3 gallons a minute, or interferes at 4 or 5 gallons a minute, at that water taking level, but doesn't interfere at 3 gallons a minute, then a limiter can be put on that well so that it doesn't interfere with other wells in the area.
Well, it sounds good, but I don't think my wife would like me showering with the neighbors. You know what I mean? So you don't help me much if I run out of water. That's.
Yeah, and the one thing too is, I should say that the dug wells themselves actually performed fairly well based on the information that we saw, because our transducers pick up everything, every little blip and everything. So we would see their usage in those dug wells, and there was quite often, even during that period, there wasn't much drawdown between there was some interference from one dug well to the other, but it wasn't that significant that they would potentially dry themselves out. Somebody would dry themselves out or dry somebody else.
I don't think I've heard definitively the answer to the question. If the dug wells, to put subdivision, the dug wells go dry tomorrow, what's their recourse? And if it's, they have to assume, I guess, that the water's gone somewhere other than a drought.
Yeah,
What is the recourse if one or two or all of these dug wells around where you've drilled eventually run dry?
Then you'd have to do some testing to see whether or not it actually is, whether It's the dug wells themselves that dried themselves out, essentially, in that upper aquifer, and see where the water levels are. Because if it is a drought, the first things that dry up a lot of the times are those surficial dug bored wells. And like I said, but the aquifer down below is a more, can you hear me? The aquifer down below, as you get deeper, is a more reliable source. So the dug well up top could become dry simply because of drought conditions and or use, heavy use. If somebody moved in and didn't know they were living, how to live in the country and stuff like that, that you limit your water supply, they moved in, they could use the water quite a bit and draw it down enough that they run dry, the pump shuts off, but then the water could recover after that too. So they might.
Well, thank you, Barry. There are a couple of things that you're going to have to sell a house, you got to have water. And whether it's a well or a trickle system or storage system, you've got to provide water. You don't have any choice. And I'm sure that'll be part of this process, that they'll scrutinize, our staff will scrutinize all that you've done and make sure that nobody is going to be out of water.
And I think if there is, somewhere where there's interference, and I think we even provided in the recommendations that if, a well doesn't perform or, it doesn't, it has interference with other wells in the area, that it be abandoned according to the well regulations, that it just not be in use.
But with your drilled wells and your testing well, have you tested the quality of the water in every one?
Yes.
And it's of quality drinkable water, it's clean.
Potable quality. The one test well has a little bit of sediment and stuff like that, but it just requires a little. Some of them need a little more cleaning up, and the only way to do that is to run the well and pump test it in order to clean some of the fine sediment, some of the clays, et cetera, and stuff like that.
Councillor Katsovas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the planning committee level, it was suggested among discussions that one solution would be to put the entry point at Teal Road. It's a safer, wider road, eliminate the access point to Jarvis altogether, and should that happen and it comes off Teal Road, you would potentially eliminate 2 houses, which I think would appease some of the residents if it were to come, for instance, through 12 and 13. Now, there was no answer provided at the committee level, I understand, because you didn't have enough time to answer it. I'm wondering if the answer can be provided tonight.
I'm not a planner or anything to suggest something like that, but from a well standpoint, it would mean that there's 1 or 2 fewer wells, which it really, from the well perspective, it doesn't make much of a difference whether the 2 wells are there or not. The data suggests that even if you had the 2 wells, it shouldn't influence those shallow bored and dug well systems.
I'm sorry. Any comment at this time with respect to the number of lots that you can, I guess you'd say, accept?
Yes, I think the owners were looking at it and they didn't go deep into it. We didn't get any major comments back from the city too, so we didn't look into minimizing the number of lots.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
But Mr.
Councillor Reid is looking.
Councillor Reid, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I've heard the concerns about the wildlife and plant life. And when I look at this topographical map, it appears that houses 1 to 13 to 8 or 8 to 13, they appear to be in not a woodland area. So I'm wondering, 7, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 seem to be in wooded areas. Is there any way that the developer might be willing to stay away from the wooded areas so that the plant life and the wildlife are not affected. Has that crossed their minds?
Director Jardine, I know that you've gone through this process and so on. I don't think we normally try to control where somebody puts a lot, but the location of the lot doesn't necessarily determine the location of the house. But what's your comment at this time, Director?
Yes, it's through your worship. It's not obviously normal practice to kind of renegotiate the submitted draft plan at council. So this is kind of unusual circumstance. I think what we do, again, I spoke to council, probably repeated this a number of times, we respond to the development proposal that we get, and we ensure through working with the consultants and information provided that whether it's traffic standards, hydrogeological, environmental, that the development that is being proposed can be supported by the site. And we're comfortable that it can, based on the information provided for well and septic, for traffic impact, for environmental. We are responding to what's been proposed. I can't tell council that a smaller number is better. We also have an ever-increasing mandate, as you know, to find land for houses. This is a designated site, already zoned for residential use. Understood it is in an area which, you know, is on private services, so it's a different process for sure. But I would not present anything to you as council that would suggest a smaller number. The number that's been provided by the developer of lots has been reviewed, and staff are comfortable that can be approved.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Katsovas.
Thank you. Not questioning your methods, or should we not reduce the housing amount, but what was the rationale for choosing Jarvis over Teal, then, if you could answer that question? Because some of the residents choosing the entry point to be Jarvis versus Teal Road. Is Teal not the safer, wider road?
I don't know.
Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Public Works reviewed, and it's our understanding that there's a 20-meter road right-of-way off of Jarvis, which leads to a more efficient design. That's the main reason we can tell. With respect to the traffic, we independently reviewed the sight lines on Jarvis as well as Teal. I do know that there were some comments about the speed limits at the beginning within the traffic study, and Public Works reviews those independently based on what's actually on the site, and we can confirm that the sight lines exceed the minimum required.
Thank you for your response.
Anyone else? Okay, Councillor Quinte.
I'm still going to support the minutes of the planning meeting to proceed with this application. Mr. Jardine has mentioned that this particular development is in a hamlet area, and this has been set up for decades, and we finally have an investor that wants to go ahead. They've got 44 conditions with 7 notes to meet the city standards before they can start building houses. The only question I had is I just don't know how deep is a drilled well in comparison to a dug well.
Well, they can tell you that. I think it's 50 feet, but go ahead. What is? A dug well has to be so many feet from the septic system. I think it's 100, isn't it? Or somebody knows
30 meters, 100 feet.
30 meters? Anybody answer that? Anyone else?
I think he's looking it up,
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
just
Mayor.
looking up an example.
Well, the test drills that you did, how deep were they?
That's
Oh, you don't
I'm
know?
just trying to look one up
Okay.
right now.
Well, everyone could be different.
Okay, we can,
Never mind.
we can
We got a
get
long
that,
ways
we
to
can
go.
get that answer for you.
Anyways, I know that Councillor Elliott moved the motion. I think, Mr. Armstrong, you seconded it? Are we making any changes then?
No.
Because I'm not. Let's vote.
Councillor Boyce. Councillor
Thank
Boyce.
thank you, Your Worship. Just one quick question. With the additional 11 houses that will go out onto Jarvis, the condition of Jarvis Street right now, will it require the city to spend a lot of money to update it?
Know about it. I guess acting CAO, have you got a comment on that one?
Your worship, I'll refer that to my colleague, Mr. Jackson, who actually reviewed the traffic study and the reports.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. So Jarvis is a rural residential road, and it has 2.8 meter wide lanes, which generally meet the requirements for a local road, an existing local road.
Okay, so then the 11 additional houses that will obviously be traveling on it, it won't cause the city to have to spend a lot of additional money on that road then? It's already
Developer's responsible. Councillor Kunze.
Yeah, just to see if I can answer Councillor Boyce's question.
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson did speak at the planning meeting, and what I recall that he said is one day that road may have to be resurfaced, and they will look at traffic studies at that time. And if the road has to be widened at that time, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But there wasn't any set date or a set amount of money, or if the road would even be widened, but it was briefly discussed at the planning meeting. And Mr. Jackson can answer.
Thank you, Your Worship. So based on the traffic study, it took into consideration that during the morning, there would be a peak rush of 9 extra vehicles per hour, and in the evening, an additional 12 vehicles per hour, which is 1 every 5 minutes. So based on that data, we do not believe that that would trigger an upgrade to Jarvis at this time.
Okay, thank you.
As I've traveled that road because my wife's family goes to St. Alphonsus Church in Wooler. So I've made a lot of trips on that road. So anyways, I'm in good hands when I'm going to church, right? So I should be okay. So anyways, thank you very much for the information. Councillor Stedall.
Just one quick question, one item that was discussed earlier, and that's about the stormwater management pond. My understanding with that is that there's guidelines that are required, and they are safe, and there shouldn't be any issues with those. I know that it was raised as a potential problem, but in my experience, I believe that there's a full environmental studies that are required for those, and they're created so that there will be no adverse effect on the local environment. Is that?
Okay, who's done the work on the present pond that's in existence just east of Jarvis Road and on the north side of Wooler Road? Anybody? No? No? Okay. Well, a fellow built that pond many years ago, and he built a house back in on the north side.
Yep.
His name was Tim the Tool Man, right? Tim Koopmans is who it was, but it doesn't matter. The name is immaterial. But yes, there is a large pond there now that would handle, I would think. But anyways, that's only an opinion. That's not a professional opinion.
Just to confirm my question, Mr. Mayor, is like, there is a request for a stormwater management pond to go into
Well,
this
they'll have to
location.
deal
And I
with
just want to confirm that there's all covered by environmental requirements, and there should not be an issue. Is that correct?
Your Worship, in answer to Councillor Settle's question, that is correct. In addition, it gets reviewed by our local conservation authority to ensure it meets all the requirements going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else have one last, yes, come on up and give us your question.
Actually, sir, thank you, Mayor. My question is for the.
Well, we're on television, you gotta come up here because I'll lose all my makeup if you don't, sorry, come on.
My question actually is for the water gentleman here, sir.
Okay.
Mayor, is
Okay.
that he stated that there was 3 wells, test wells drilled.
Yes.
They only ran them for 6 hours for 1 day. Then they stopped recovery on them to let them recover. If those houses were built there, that test well would be running every day, every day, every day, every day. It would not be turned off to regenerate. Therefore, it would be using more water and water and water. I understand what he says about they drill down through the clay portion so they don't affect us, per se. However, though, water drops down eventually, so we will be losing water. And the only other thing I did not mention while I was up here earlier, sir, was about the septic tanks. With being on septic and with the septic beds, obviously they're only, 3 feet, maybe below ground, which is groundwater. All the water runs from County Road 40 down through that Jarvis area. The second thing I didn't forget to mention, sir, was the one in that one corner there where it's close to the water.
Right.
There, which was brought up before with their septic bed right beside the water area. And they had the well out front, which should be reversed around on the builder side of the house. I know this has to go a long way yet, as stated, but there's a lot of considerations that need to be thought out, looked at very, very carefully before approving this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Come on up, one more.
I just had a question. How many gallons a minute was drilled well?
We had them at about 4.7 imperial gallons a minute. So almost 5 gallons a minute.
Because that barely beats
And
a.
then there was one that's 10 gallons.
Okay, because that barely meets a bank mortgage. You need about 5 gallons a minute for that.
I don't even know if they do that anymore. They
Oh,
used to have
okay.
a thing where you had to have 3.6 gallons a minute.
All right.
But I don't even think they use that anymore. It's up to the buyer to make sure they have enough water.
Okay.
these days.
Because I used to have
that
a.
Used to be the, I think, I can't remember what it was called, it was some kind of mortgaging. And I think they got rid of that because they just had too many problems.
All right. Okay. Because I used to have a house on Murray Street.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just interject, like, a lot of this can't be heard on camera as well, and it's really up to council now to make their decision
Yeah.
going forward, so.
Okay. Yeah, you can talk to him at any time, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, thank you,
I'll take your name and.
thank you.
I'll take your name and everything.
Okay,
Sure. And
thank you.
I can ask you a question.
All right, let's, we're gonna go on. Okay,
Sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor, just
if
going
you
back
can
to
just-
what the wells were, the well depths. The dug wells were anywhere from 3.6 meters, so 12 feet, up to 9.1 meters, 30 feet. So, within the sand, the depth of the sand changes. So the 9.1 meter, 30 foot is a drilled well, but it's still within that sandy sand aquifer, that unconfined aquifer on the top. And then I was just looking at the other one, and the drilled wells that we did, the test wells, one of them was down to 18.24 meters. And the well, or the pump was set at about 15 meters or so. So it had, I think it's at about 7 or 8 meters of drawdown.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, all in favor? Vote. Carried, thank you. All right, next one is, that I have, I think, is staff report by Matt Tracy, Manager of Water Service regarding health and safety water stream funding application, Trenton Zone 1 elevated storage tank be received. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Kuntz moved, second by Councillor Sharp.
Your Worship, could we go back to staff report
Well, let's,
25?
which one?
The one from Director Grimmin and
Grimmin.
Mrs. Reed.
10-4, he's supposed to be here.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, 10-4, yeah. All right, well, let's take a vote on that one, and then we'll go back. All in favor of that one? One we just moved. I
The
gotta-
facility
Wait.
rental policy?
Pardon?
Which one?
Well, the one I just read was the Health and Safety Water Stream Funding Application, Trenton Zone 1 Elevated Storage Tank, be received.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
Mhm.
All in favor? That's all I need. 1, 2, 3, 4. Carried. Okay, now back up to the one staff report by Jacqueline Grimmin, Director of Community Services and Strategic Partnerships, and Samantha Reed, Special Projects Coordinator regarding facility rental and cancellation policy be received, and the council repeal bylaw 15317 being a bylaw to adopt an ice floor rental and cancellation policy for the city of Quinte West, and further that council approve the facility rental and cancellation policy. Councilor McHugh moves, seconded by Councilor Sharp. Any comments or questions? All, pardon? Councilor Reed, sorry, go ahead.
I just wondered if Director Grimmin wanted to clarify that I think it's the wrong number stated in the recommendation. It should be 15-137 as the bylaw that we're repealing.
Councilor Grimmin, Director Grimmin, sorry.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Reed's question and point. Yes, the bylaw is 15-137 as listed correctly in the appendix of that report.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay,
Robert Jackson, surface treatment.
okay. This one here. The next one is the staff report, Quinte West 2025-00081 by Robert Jackson, Manager of Engineering Services, regarding surface treatment program update and reallocation of funds be received. And that 500,000, I didn't, but I thought maybe you would. You want me to read it all? Okay, and that 500,000 be reallocated to the Surface Treatment Road Program budget, book project 2518 from the various road, arterial, and local programs, budget book projects 25-11 and 25-13 for a total surface treatment road program budget of $1,870,000. We just don't know where that money's going, do we?
I don't know where it's going.
Like to speak to it?
Okay, Councilor McHugh.
Yeah, I'd like to move it and speak to it. If I read that correctly, that extra $500,000 is going to add an additional 8 roads for further repairs. And I appreciate that, thank you.
Councilor, anybody else? Councilor Stedall?
I'd like to second it and also comment is that I think there's going to be very many residents that'll be happy with this. The roads are in an extremely poor condition
Not any
after this
council
weather.
members, right?
Oh, I think maybe, but mostly the residents, I think, will be very happy.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? Director Angelo?
Thank you, Your Worship. But just for clarification to Councilor McHugh's question, it's actually adding more than 8 roads because in addition to that, we're also doing some patching on a number of roads that need that as well. So in fact, there's a number of new roads that have been added because of the harsh winter had on some of these local roads in a rural area.
So you're telling us that our snow plows damaged those roads? No, you're not saying. No, okay. It was Mother Nature, right? That freezing and thawing and those late plows too.
Yeah, if we could just get the earth to stop moving.
Yeah. All in favor? Carried, thank you. You got your money. You're going forward.
Correspondence.
Correspondence, okay.
Proclamations, Mr. Mayor.
Proclamations first, yes, okay. Proclamation, first one is that council proclaimed May 28, 2025 as Red Shirt Day of Action as part of National Accessibility Week in the city of Quinte West. Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. This one. Counselor Sharp, Counselor Freeman. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, the next one is that council proclaim June 25th as Stroke and Aphasia Awareness Month in the city of Quinte West, and further that the Quinte West sign, Veteran Skyway Bridge, be illuminated in the color red during the month of June 25, pending any scheduling conflicts. Move in a seconder. Councillor McHugh moves. Councillor Boyce, second. Thank you. Comments or questions? I forgot to ask on the last one. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Correspondence, printed information and non-printed. That's the part I want you to read. Mover for the correspondence, please. Mover and a seconder. Councillor McHugh, Councillor Allier. Any comments or questions on that? All in favor? Carried, thank you. And the non-printed, well, we'll take that as well. That printed correspondence, item 12.1, for council information be received and filed. That's 12.1. Okay? That's part of that I guess that's another resolution. So
No,
we need
that's-
mover and a seconder for that.
That's what you just voted on, Mr. Mayor.
Is that, okay, so we're good? All right, okay, any notices of motion? Done. Bylaws, be read first. I need a mover and a seconder for the bylaws, please. Councillor Reed, Councillor Boyce, move second. And bylaws be read first, second, and third time, and the mayor be authorized to sign. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And I think that's, I'm at confirmation bylaws where I am. Pardon? Is that all you need, Josh, confirmation? Okay, Councillor Allier, seconded by Councillor somebody. Councillor Card? Okay. All in favor? Carried, thank you. I think the next one is the one we've been working towards. It's called adjournment. Councillor Stedall, Councillor Sharp, she'd be glad to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much, folks. We're adjourned for the night, and let's hope it stays dry for, yeah. I don't.